Hey guys, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. Hope you're enjoying my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. These little things are free to you and really help the channel. I appreciate your support. Enjoy. Thank you.
The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Greetings and welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick with Stress to Logic and Firearm Mentor, where we train people to be ready, remain safe, stay sharp, and train for the moment that matters. And we were in the middle of our conversation with Doris Wise from Jews Can Shoot, and she was telling us about Zev Jabotinsky. And I really didn't know who Zev was, Z-E apostrophe E-V, Jabotinsky, J-A-B-O-T-I-N-S-K-Y. And he lived from 1880 to 1940, and he was born as a Russian Jewish revolutionist Zionist leader. Say that 5 times fast. He was an author, a poet, an orator, soldier, and founder of the Jewish Self-Defense Organization in Odessa. With Joseph Trump, I'm sorry I laughed at this. His last name is Trumpeldor, T-R-U-M-P-E-L-D-O-R, and I paused in the middle because I found the humor in it. He co-founded the Jewish Legion of the British Army in World War I. Later, he established several Jewish organizations, including Betar, Hatzor, and the Irgun. And he, just an interesting story, he was very interested in arming Jews and teaching Jews how to shoot. And he deserves some great kudos. And I'll let Doris tell you about him in her own words.
He's an important figure. He's gone. He's gone. But he's an important figure in Judaism and in Israel and in Jews learning to shoot.
This has just been a phenomenal conversation. Can you offer any final thoughts about what you do, and maybe there's something I didn't ask you in your world that I should have and you want to discuss? Please, the floor is yours.
I appreciate that question, and it's a timely question for me because I've been dealing with it even on Facebook and getting pushback and support, is that I am not happy with Jews dissing other Jews in public. I want us to stop that. First, I don't agree with what a lot of Jews are doing. I'm not happy about certain things, but those who are anti-Semitic to begin with look at that, and it gives them permission to be anti-Semitic. And I don't know why we have Jews who feel a need to do that publicly. I also don't diss anything about Israel publicly. I don't live there. I live in America. I support Israel, and I support the people who support Israel. But I'm not going to say anything bad about Israel. I'm going to say I'm not happy with, I'll be honest with you, I'm not happy with the plan that they came up with, but that's not Israel. That's a combination of other outside forces. But I will support Israel. I will support Netanyahu publicly. I will support all Jews. If we want to change our own people, we should do it in private, in a way that's engaging, in a way that it's compassionate. Let's say compassionate. We can talk to each other, but we have to stop dissing our own publicly. It is aiding and abetting the anti-Semite.
And what you're talking about, and I want to clarify this, is not the fact that you say, I like matzo balls, and I say, I like kreplach. Well, you don't have good taste. We're not talking about that. We're talking about public sentiment, we're talking about public policy. Am I correct in saying
You
that?
are correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I'm tired of hearing how Jews vote. I'm tired of hearing how Jews are for or against gun control or whatever. We're not deciding the whole world. There's a whole world. I don't agree with, for example, personally, I'm not a Democrat. So I don't understand how anybody can be a Democrat. I'm just saying that. I don't understand it. But I'm not going, but when people focus on Jews being a certain way and then, saying that it's not good, the anti-Semites, and also those who don't know us, who are just like learning, because there's a whole world out there who's never met a Jew in their lives, right. But they're hearing this all over and over and over and over. They're thinking to myself, oh my God, these must be really awful kinds of people, and that's why my life isn't good.
Right. Oh man, this is great. This is fantastic. And I completely agree with you. There are things that I will agree with. There's things I don't agree with, but I don't publicly get into it. Especially, if basically the same thing that you said. I'm muttering right now, but in any event, I am in complete agreement with you.
Marcus, can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
I monitor, but as you can imagine, my Jews Can Shoot Facebook page very carefully, because it's a public page, and every once in a while I get some anti-Semitic comments, people who feel that this is a place that they can come on and say something nasty. I don't allow it.
Good. Thank you.
And I post about it every once in a while. I just did something the other day where I was very clear that my page was not a page that they could come and spit out their anti-Semitic stuff. And I go in there and I put it out there. I will delete the message and I will ban them.
Good.
And I have no shortage of followers. As a matter of fact, every time I do that, I get more followers.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I manage, they're not religious, but they're gun groups, and I manage several Facebook gun groups, and I don't tolerate not only anti-Semitism, but any bigotry. Whether it's racial or just one example, we had a guy who was on the autism spectrum, and his whole family were members, and this guy who's autistic shoots, and I've shot with him, and I'd rather shoot with him than shoot with some non-autistic people, because they are rule followers. Safety is safety, and that's it, and there's no deviation. In any event, someone was, I don't exactly remember the terminology, but it was very disparaging, and this family of this autistic adult left the group, and I got a message saying this is why we left, and I said, please come back, I'll handle it for you. And as I call it, I lowered the ban hammer on the people who don't tolerate other people based upon nothing, based upon a skin color, a religion, a belief, someone's cross-eyed, someone has a booger hanging out of their nose. That's going to get edited out. That just sprung out of my mouth. Sorry. That's me being a dad and having little kids. So, all right, let's get back to it. So please reiterate and share your contact information, your website, your social media information, and how people can get a hold of you to order apparel, to join the group, to contribute to the community.
Okay, so there is no joining of a group. If you are like-minded and you're interested, subscribing to my newsletter is really easy. And of course it's free. I've never understood why anybody would charge to subscribe or whatever. It's you can subscribe to my newsletter. You go to JewsCanShoot.com. That's my JewsCanShoot, all one word, .com or .org. JewsCanShoot.com, JewsCanShoot.org, and there's a subscribe button. Click on that, and you can subscribe. If you're not happy with the content, you can unsubscribe. I won't be offended. so you get, and from there you get all the newsletters. If you're and if you want to contact me, you can email me, Doris at DORIS at jewscanshoot.org. Doris at jewscanshoot.org, and I respond 99% of the time, unless it goes into the junk drawer or unless it's a message that I choose not to respond to. For the store, it's stay-armed.com, and that's a completely different website, and that's a fun, enjoyable place for me to come up with things.
Awesome. Well, Doris, it's been.
I keep the prices I'm very cognizant of pricing on all my products.
Fantastic. Doris, this has been an absolute delight speaking with you. And I was serious about if you can get a shirt that says sometimes we need Goliath to see our inner David, or however you wanted to phrase it, I would buy that in a New York minute.
Okay.
Even though neither of us are in New York. But thank you very much for appearing on the show and spreading the great word. Thank you.
And thank you for what you do as well. So thank you for what we both do.
Awesome. I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS2logic.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. Again, this is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor. Be ready, remain safe, stay sharp, and train for the moment that matters. I had an interesting interaction, and this was online. I had a gentleman sign up for my concealed carry class that is now in progress. The show is pre-recorded. And he sent me a message before the course. He said, hey, I missed my renewal, and I guess I got to take the whole thing over. So he signed up for the entire concealed carry class. Now, this is being recorded 2 days before Friday. So last night, I emailed him, and I rejected his application, but I told him why. I said, look, the law changed several years ago. You do not need to have a 16-hour concealed carry class if your concealed carry permit has lapsed. All you need is the 3-hour renewal. And he did not have to pay the full price for the 16-hour class. He only needed to pay the renewal class price. So I emailed him. I haven't heard back. This is early Friday morning right now, but I haven't heard back. But I said, look, I'm happy to invite you to the entire class. You are more than welcome to attend. However, you are not more than welcome to pay for the entire class because you've already learned this material elsewhere. And for anyone who needs a renewal, but maybe hasn't picked up a firearm in a while, or maybe they feel they need a refresher, and they are ready to renew, what they can do is sign up for the renewal portion of the course, but then attend the entire course for the price of the renewal. Now, if there is an initial person who has not had a concealed carry, yes, you have to take the entire course. And I even require members of the military to take the entire 16-hour course. Now, Illinois state law allows an 8-hour credit for anyone with prior military training. However, I have found, and I love the military and I love public safety. Please, please don't take this as a dig, but our military does not train with handguns. They train with rifles, and it's minimal at that, unless you're in a specialized unit. So I have found members of the military in my class who really don't know the mechanics and the safety and all that good stuff of a handgun. And many years ago, I decided, I'll give them a huge discount for serving our country, absolutely 100%. But I also require them to attend the entire class so they get all of the safety information that they need for carrying a pistol. Also, there's a little bit different dynamic than combat and self-defense. And I'm being sarcastic when I say a little difference. It's a huge difference. So I do require members of the military or somebody with a DD 214 to take the entire class. However, you don't pay the full price. So if that's the case, please reach out to me via my electronic business card, which is marcusmelnick.com. Has all of my contact information there. And all you got to really do is send me your DD 214 or other equivalent paperwork, and I will give you the coupon code for the military price. Again, I appreciate everyone who has served the country. Now, when I say that, I'm not just talking about thanking military people. I thank everybody who serves their community, whether it is a physician, a nurse, a garbage person, a public works person, public safety, fire, police, dispatcher. And I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent with dispatchers. They are the first contact when somebody has a 911 call. They are the first hero, and they are heroes because what they do is they are in a little room surrounded by cameras and computer screens, and they're not on scene. So it's very, very stressful for them. And they have to sometimes give out emergency medical dispatch or EMD instructions, where they will tell you, hey, put pressure on the wound, don't put a tourniquet around the neck. And that's me kidding when I say that. But it's a really high burnout part of public safety. So they are the first heroes. Now, of course, they don't get any credit. The police show up, the fire shows up, and you know who else doesn't get credit? Community service officers. These are non-sworn people that support the police, and a lot of them will do the functions like animal control or parking enforcement. But when there's a large incident, guess who's directing traffic? When there's an accident, when there's a fire, a lot of times it's your community service officer. And I've always been a huge proponent of them because there are tasks in public safety that do not require a sworn police officer or a sworn firefighter. One of those tasks is directing traffic. And you might say, oh no, you need a police officer to direct traffic. A non-police officer can't direct traffic. Ever go to a funeral? These guys are directing traffic. Ever go to Portillo's? These guys are directing traffic. And they're not police officers. It's kind of funny. This part isn't funny. My father-in-law passed away over the summer, and we had the funeral, and we had a processional to the cemetery. And one of the guys, what he would do is he was in a car with lights, and he would go in the middle of the intersection and block the intersection. And then our slow cars would go through the intersection, and then he'd punch it and fly past us to the next intersection. And then he'd block that one. And it was really a fantastic service that he provided. Was he a police officer? No, I think he was a mortician, or he worked at the funeral home. Funny, we're in the same networking group. It just happens to be random. We are, and we can give thank yous at the end of this group. And what I did was I stood up in front of everyone and I thanked the funeral home for doing all the services that they did, as well as I thanked this individual person, and I said he's the best driver ever. And at the cemetery, I even had a conversation with him. So he remembered the conversation, he gave me the wink and nod, and I was able to thank him. And a lot of times these people don't get the thanks, or they get the thanks right away, but it's an automated thank you. It's not a heartfelt, wow, you're really awesome. And I'm giving you guys a heartfelt, wow, you're really awesome. And that funeral home was Chicago Jewish Funerals. They have Skokie and Buffalo Grove locations. And I'm sure every funeral home is kind and nice. And these guys were absolutely fabulous, fantastic. I hope to never need their services. And I told them that. And obviously, I'm the jokester. If you've listened to me, they laughed, they smiled. I did not say, oh, I was dying to see you. But that's because that was inappropriate. When I was a lot younger, I would have said that inappropriate joke, but now I'm older and hopefully wiser. In any event, lots of interesting things are happening in the legal system. And as a matter of fact, there was recently, I read in the news, and I'm going off the top of my head, there was a Hoffman Estates police officer that ICE arrested because his immigration status was not legal. And I'm thinking, wow, I worked in law enforcement. I know there's background checks up and down the wazoo. And the police department issued a statement on Friday morning, which basically said, hey, look, we do background checks. We got his immigration status from the federal government. They all said it was okay. So now the police officer is being placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of his immigration status. But if his immigration status is confirmed that he's perfectly fine, maybe it was a paperwork issue, he will return to full duty. In Illinois, you do not have to be a citizen to be a police officer, but you do have to be eligible for a FOID card, and that means you have a work permit visa. Those who are just visiting, or you have a non-resident, I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's a green card. It's basically a permanent resident alien card. That's what I'm looking at. Or those are the words I'm looking for, I should say. And those people can be police officers. And it's really funny. When this first came out, maybe a year and a half ago, there were people in the firearms community who were like, oh my God, what if they're spying on their people? What if someone is coming over from a communist country? It was a lot more racist than that, and I called the guy out on it. What if someone comes over from a communist country and they're spying on their citizens? I'm like, dude, come on. Well, if they're here illegally, like someone who came from Mexico, then they've already broken the law, thus they are more prone to be violent. I said, are you kidding me? You mean to tell me if an individual breaks the law, they are more prone to be violent? Guess what? Everybody breaks the law. What? Marcus, no, I don't break the law. Hey, you ever go 1 mile an hour over the speed limit? Everybody does that. And guess what? That's called breaking the law. You ever turn on right when there's a no turn on right sign or no turn on red sign? Yeah, people break the law. Now, those are minor traffic laws. Or if somebody finds something on the ground, say they find a quarter on the ground, and they pick it up and they put it in their pocket and they keep going. That's called theft of mislaid property. That is a crime. You ever pick up a penny in a parking lot? You just committed a crime. That doesn't mean you're violent. And anyway, we had it out with them, and I, over this and some similar incidents, I left that organization because it was not aligned with my personal values. So you have to find organizations that are aligned with your personal values, just like Jews Can Shoot, or the United States Concealed Carry Association, or Right to Bear, or 511 Tactical, or any of these brands out there that support what you support them. Buy their stuff. So in other news, I've been talking with 2 different parties, possibly a third, about having a safety series lecture, perhaps once a month in the north and northwest suburbs. It would be free or very minimal charge to cover the cost of the room. And we're going to be talking about a variety of subjects, including overcoming the human stress response, including long-term traumatic recovery following an incident, and several other topics. Now, this is right now in idea stage. We haven't actually moved forward and, as I'll say, pulled the trigger on it. However, this is most likely going to happen after the first of the year. We're gearing up for it. And one of the things, there's a movie that just came out called Guns and Moses. It's available on streaming. You can purchase it on YouTube. I have not seen it yet. I'm about to see it over the weekend. And I'd like to do a watch party on that with whomever would like to come. And I will definitely advertise it on the radio and on my social media. And by the way, please subscribe to one of my social media channels, which I mentioned earlier, because you're going to get some great tips and tricks. Like the FOID card is now electronic. It's also a physical card, but the FOID and CCL can be accessed via the Illinois State Police website. I also talk about how the card is now combined. It's not a separate concealed carry permit and FOID permit. Instead, it is a FOID with an endorsement. Very similar to a driver's license with an endorsement. And that endorsement could be you're allowed to drive a truck with air brakes. You're allowed to drive a bus with passengers. And at one point, I did have a commercial driver's license, a CDL. I was working in private security, and this private security was a nursing home, and security would drive the people to various shopping centers, as well as shuttle back and forth the employees to public transportation so they could get to work. It wasn't a direct area that they could go to from public transportation. So I had to get a CDL, and I had a passenger endorsement. That meant that I can drive a truck without air brakes. Air brakes was a second endorsement at the time. And then I could actually transport people legally. I had the license to do that. So with that said, we've got a ton of information out there on social media. We would love to have you in a class. And our attitude is we don't do hard sales. I don't go out there and say, you must do this, you must do that. What I say is, hey, look, if you own a firearm or are interested in safety information, my knowledge, my availability is at your disposal. You can certainly hire me to do a seminar or hire me to take a concealed carry class. And that's upon the customer. I don't cold call people and I might cold email people, but they can press delete if they're not interested. In any event, I wish for everyone to stay safe, have a great week, be ready, stay sharp, and train for the moment that matters. This is Marcus Melnick signing off.
We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.